You're listening to Lucid Cafe. I'm your host, Wendy Halley. What if you could lay down in a comfortable, cozy space and within minutes feel your body ease into a deep and delicious state of relaxation? And while you're in this peaceful state, your body begins to bring itself into harmony and to heal. And what if I told you that the only thing transporting you into this state is a pleasant combination of light and music frequencies? Today, my friend Marie Frohlich is back, and we're talking about the Energy Genesis Healing Chamber. Now, the Energy Genesis was the reason why I quit my state job, cashed out my retirement, and opened Lucid Path Wellness 5 years ago. Marie just finished an Energy Genesis session and is ready to share her experience and explore why this approach to healing could be the medicine of the future. Guess who's back at the Lucid Cafe recording studio, aka Lucid Path Wellness?
Hello, Wendy.
Everyone, welcome back, Marie Frohlich.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here and talk about you and your work here at Lucid Path.
Well, we're going to talk about you and your experience too,
Oh, yes.
because someone named Marie just got out of the Energy Genesis. So that's what today's session is going to focus on, is this sound and light healing technology I have here. The reason why I opened this wellness center to begin with was for this technology called the Energy Genesis. And so, yeah, we're going to focus on what this is all about. Try our best to describe it.
Okay, well, before we get into my personal experience in this amazing vessel, I would love to hear more background on why or how you discovered it and why you brought it to Montpelier.
Okay. This is going back to 2013. I had a subscription to a website where I would watch videos called Gaia. And I watched an interview with the inventor of this technology. His name is Barry. So I always laugh because it doesn't sound like a very inventorish name.
No, it doesn't.
Barry McNew. And I had such a strong reaction to what he was talking about. The concept of using light and sound, very simple. And then the data he had collected over the span of like 10 years around what impact this light and sound technology had on people. It was one of those, I don't get those kinds of reactions frequently in my life, but when I get a really big one like that, I pay attention. So within 48 hours of watching that interview, I had my flight to Colorado booked and sessions at the center in Denver scheduled for the technology. So a month later, I flew out to Colorado and tried it. At the time, it was the Life Vessel. The Life Vessel is the predecessor to the Energy Genesis, which is what I have now. So I did a series of sessions, which is the ideal way to use the technology, is to do a series in 3 consecutive days. And so I had an amazing, pretty mind-blowing experience and was working on the business plan on the plane ride home. I went in October of 2013, and the very same week, exactly a year later, is when I opened this place.
Wow.
And the technology's not cheap. So I had to do fundraising, I had to get a business loan, and then I quit my state job and took a giant risk and opened this place. Coming up on my 5-year anniversary in October
Hooray.
of
Amazing what
2019.
an epiphany like that will do to someone.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think the most startling experience for me in my very first session was that I had moments where I had a complete absence of mental emotional and physical tension in my body. And it was delicious. And I'm a pretty chill girl. To have that, I was thinking everyone needs to experience this. And this is the story I always tell. So I may have talked about this in other episodes, but I apologize for repeating myself. But yeah, I feel so passionate about the idea that we can have these experiences of a stress-free existence, or a closer to stress-free existence, that our nervous system is craving that it wants that, and that stress is there to get us through a crisis situation. But do we have to live with it? Is everything a crisis? And I think in our culture, we kind of are programmed to think that everything is a crisis.
Well, we're in flight or fight mode all the time, as if those saber-toothed tigers are
Right
chasing
there.
us,
Yeah.
and whether it's a traffic or a relationship or the whole circle of our lives, there's every component in it. And that seems to be a theme throughout the 21st century culture we're living in for every country. I don't, but
Well, I mean, they're very real stressors, absolutely. And something life-threatening happens, when there's an actual crisis, stress comes in very handy. It's our bodies, our nervous systems are designed to keep us safe, keep
right.
us
And what
alive. Yeah.
what's fascinating to me, having just come out of the Genesis and what it can do in terms of waking up parts of your body that have been in tension that you may not even be aware of, number one.
Surprise. Yeah.
And then it also triggers a lot of thoughts and questions I have we can talk about, but the curiosity of how different injuries or traumas in your life get encoded into your body and stuck there. And it could happen of when you were a child, or it could be an accident you had that you thought you healed, or you don't pay attention to that chronic whatever anymore because you're so used to it. It's your normal. And I found spending, what was it, 45 minutes?
You were there for 50.
50 minutes, that the sound and light and the way it's programmed, and I want to ask Wendy about how she programs it and why she chose the particular program she did for me, but the vibrations underneath you and around you, it's a holistic experience of your body. And I was just mentioning earlier how I felt like I had a massage with sound and light, but in fact it's such a sensory experience when you tune in to how your body's reacting to those vibrations and harmonics, as you mentioned. It's really amazing. I had those encoded imprints of different physical traumas come alive again, which I thought were gone.
We call that retracing.
So, and why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that, like you're saying, the imprint of, you're talking in this case, a physiological trauma gets imprinted in your system. And so it can have an impact at the level of your consciousness, so the memory of it, which can have an imprint on the energetic fabric of your being, and then also a physical manifestation of symptoms or whatever.
Right.
And so most of us are just dealing with the physical symptoms. And so it doesn't necessarily address the patterns at the level of your consciousness, or the energetic pattern. So when you get in the energy genesis, and I'll refer to it as the EG a lot in our conversation. So when you get in the EG, since it's considered energy medicine, it's working at the level of vibration and harmonics. Anything that's out of harmony wants to be brought back into harmony at the level of frequency. If you have one of those, what I call stains, a stain from a previous trauma, and it can be physical, it can be emotional, and let's say that particular EG session, the harmonics bring up that particular trauma, then it will retrace. You might have memories that are associated with that particular trauma, or you might have a physical sensation associated with that trauma as it retraces, but it's temporary and gentle. It's like you go through it and then it processes out and then ideally is brought back into harmony.
Right. And I can see, having just had the one session, where it might take two or three to fully come full circle, because for me, it woke up a memory of a injury I had from, gosh, 27 years ago, I think,
Wow.
where I had fallen off a porch backwards and smashed all the muscles in my upper back. Very lucky not to have been paralyzed, actually. But that's what happened in this session. I became so aware of my back, and so many of us are not aware of our back, really. We don't see it, we don't. But I started to really appreciate all the work it had done for me my whole life,
Holding you up.
holding me up, and, just amazing. But to wake up that pain and the memory of falling off the porch was astonishing. And then I thought, okay, it was the frequencies were doing something. I really felt this buzz or kind of hum in my back, and then it moved up through my shoulders and neck, which had really been hurting afterwards when I had that experience. And the pain came back. And as you said, breathe through any pain that comes up, and I did. And now, I'm so glad I knew it was temporary, because it's not there anymore. But I think having it come back up releases something, whether it's a toxic kind of energy that's still with you, it's released. And that was fascinating.
It is,
Fascinating.
isn't it? It's really hard to describe. I mean,
Hmm.
we're doing our best trying to describe this very,
Unique.
yeah, this unique experience that's hard to put into words. It is a marketing issue.
I'm sure. But I mean, as we spoke right before we started the talk, there's a shift in a paradigm here, right? Where when you go into these modalities, or experimenting with different alternative healing, you're still thinking, okay, this is going to do something to me, instead of like a doctor is going to fix you, or a pill's going to make you feel better. But what this particular modality and others that I've been looking at, it's going into your body to help your body heal yourself. And I think you have to participate in that in order for it to work. And the more we participate in our own healing, the longer that healing's going to last.
I will drink to that.
And
Yes.
maybe you can talk a little bit about that paradigm shift we have to embrace.
Well, yeah, that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get this technology too, because the machine itself, and what I should do is I should describe what it is. It's
Yes.
the EG is an enormous chamber that's made from wood. It's in the shape of a sphere. It's round and it's probably 9 feet in diameter, and it's got speakers underneath you, and it's got 5 light bulbs that are embedded in the ceiling of the device. The lights are kind of refracting through all 5 of these recessed spaces in the ceiling, and the space between you and the ceiling is probably about 3 feet. So it's
That helps a lot.
big. Yeah. We'll talk about claustrophobia in a bit. So it's this giant chamber. Nobody knows why it works. I think it has to do with the shape, the dimensions, and the material it's made from. Like I mentioned, it's made from wood.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like you're inside of a giant musical instrument,
it's true.
like a cello or a grand piano, and you're in there. You're laying on a mattress, and there, like I said, there are speakers underneath you, and they're playing music.
It's very comfortable.
Yeah, it's super comfortable. And then the music actually goes into your body. So you feel the vibrations of the frequencies of the music being played. And then the light and the sound work together, create a resonance, and your body entrains to it. And pretty quickly you feel your body start dropping down into relaxation. and then you're off. So the machine itself, the EG, is not doing anything other than creating this environment that's really ideal for self-healing.
But you choose the frequency pattern,
I choose the music
the music.
that's played in there and adjust the lights. So the lights don't strobe or anything like that. They're just dimmed. And
It's the
then
color in the lights that are the harmonics that
right, they have the colors of the spectrum on them, the
mm,
light bulbs do. So you're getting that full spectrum light and all of the frequencies from the music.
we talked a little bit about shifting the paradigm for
Yeah,
self-healing.
self-healing. That's what I loved about it, is that there's no human intervention. It's just you with some music, some pretty lights, and you go into this very deep, relaxed state. It's kind of like, when you're sick, you want to sleep.
Hmm.
This is like concentrated deep rest. So when you're sick and you want to sleep, your body wants to heal itself. It needs to rest in order to heal itself. So this is getting in the EG is like this concentrated deep rest. And I never know what's going to happen for someone when they're in there, because that's what I love about this is your body's wisdom kicks in as
The
you.
autonomic nervous system you mentioned.
Yeah, the research has shown what's happening to your body when you're in there is that your autonomic nervous system's starting to reset and balance, and that basically manages every system in your body. And then once your nervous system gets down to that relaxed state, then you can get into self-healing mode. So a lot of times the first thing your body wants to do is to reduce inflammation. So you might experience pain temporarily in areas where you had an injury or have
Like I did.
swollen
Yeah.
joints or whatever from arthritis. I mean, everybody's experience is totally different. It's
Hmm.
completely different. Like, Marie, if you were to do that session again tomorrow, you would have a different experience.
Yes. I imagine I would
Yeah,
imagine
because
so.
you'll be different. You're
Because you've
different.
already released the session today already released something, and it could go into another release at a different level, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure. When you live as many years on the planet as I have.
Because you're so old.
So old.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Look at you,
And
all ancient over there.
right. The key to aging is to keep moving, really. That's all you have to do. But in that process, you
And
do
drink water.
find inflammation in different ways. So I was just feeling, your mind is still working in there. It's not like you just zone out. You find yourself zoning out and you're grateful for that. But I actually was feeling very grateful when I was in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grateful to you for having it and allowing people to come in and experience what it is. And because just sort of an epiphany when you're in there to realize the experience you're actually having is healing.
Yeah. Hopefully grateful to your body for
Grateful, I was
doing its
grateful to my
thing.
body, grateful to the opportunity for this incredible experience. And then now, as each moment passes since I came out, I feel lighter. I absolutely, the pain I felt in there is completely gone.
Wonderful. Yeah. So just to let you know, for those of you who are listening, for the that's a stupid thing to say because only people would be listening. Anyway, um, Marie literally was in the machine right before we put headphones on.
Yes.
So her experience is fresh.
Right, very fresh, and I'll report in later to you, Wendy, to see if anything else has changed. But I feel myself actually getting more and more excited about how my body's feeling right now. But do talk a little bit about, you've been here 5 years. It's your 5 year anniversary, so you could share some anecdotes or a story of healing experiences others have had through using both the life vessel and the Genesis.
Okay, well, I do have some lovely testimonials on my website if you ever want to go and check those out, lucidpathwellness.com. There's been some dramatic responses, but I would say those are more rare. energy medicine like this is super subtle. The most frequent feedback I get from people is that when I check in with them, maybe a week later or a few weeks later, I talk to them again, or even a couple months later, that they look back and they didn't realize that their pain was gone. Like maybe they had pain in their knee and they were just going about their lives after their session. And then it just kind of hit them maybe a week later that, oh, wow, I'm not in pain, or I haven't gotten migraines in the last several weeks, or I just got a really lovely testimonial from a woman with some emotional trauma and very severe Lyme symptoms. And she said the pain in her body was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that her body will hold on to that.
Yes, and in terms of the sustainability of the energy medicine that Genesis gives you, have you had people have to return after 3 sessions because it came back?
Well, I think it's kind of like what you were talking about a while ago. It depends on how long you've been dealing with your presenting issues. So for people who have autoimmune related disorders or chronic illnesses, if they've had it for a really long time, it takes more time for your body to process it out. I had a woman who's a big Lyme disease advocate, and Lyme disease in Vermont is huge. There's
It's really
unfortunate. Yeah.
unbelievable.
So this woman was saying that the first thing somebody should do after they get a Lyme diagnosis is get in the machine
Hmm.
to help that self-healing process happen, as well as take the antibiotics or whatever it is they need to do, but just to address it before that pattern gets really embedded in their system.
Yeah, right. In the herbal world, when we're working with healing, we say it usually takes 1 month for every year that you've suffered. One,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. So yeah, or people who have, let's say, like a TBI, they seem to do really well in the machine, but it could take longer if they had post-concussive disorder where they've had a series of concussions over their lives. It would probably take several series of sessions to,
yeah, TBI, traumatic brain injury.
yep,
Yeah.
traumatic brain injury. But I think it all depends on each person's wellness goals. They get to
Mm.
decide how much they do. I think the more time you spend in the EG, the more your nervous system's going to remember that deeply relaxed state and be able to hold it.
That's true with acupuncture and chiropractic. Anytime something gets shifted in your body, to hold it could take several sessions for your body to remember that
Exactly.
shift,
Yep.
right? That makes so much sense to me.
Plus, it's just a delicious experience in the EG. I mean, it's you had a painful experience, which is kind of on the rare side to have a
Hmm.
lot of pain come up like that. Usually, if pain comes up, it's very brief. But
Yes.
you revisited a really painful accident in your session.
Yeah, and you had mentioned before I went in how people who are more in touch with their body, just always checking in with their body and
Body awareness, I
body
call it. Yeah.
awareness might have a deeper experience because their awareness is tuned up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you have more body awareness, you'll probably notice more stuff happening in the session, as opposed to someone who doesn't have body awareness and they'll just feel like it was, oh, that was very relaxing and nice. So they're
Yes.
not aware of all the stuff going on.
Yes. So it's a highly recommended procedure, if you want to call it that, if you're interested in okay with sound and light healing opportunities. I highly recommend giving this a shot because, especially if you had some kind of chronic issue going on that you can't seem to kick through any other healing modality you've tried, this is the icing on the cake here, I think.
Well, what's cool about it is that because of how this works, it actually, in a session, when your body goes into self-healing mode, it can process things on a physical level, as you noted. It can process things on an emotional level, and toxins off gas from your cells. So you have to drink a lot of water after your sessions. We're all toxic, so I think we can all benefit just from sessions for that reason, to get the toxins out of us.
And this is the only Energy Genesis vessel that's in New England, right?
On the East Coast.
On the East Coast.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a rare machine because I would say that the inventor is kind of in retirement. And so I have one of the last ones that was built.
Wow. You have
He,
people coming from far away to do this,
yeah,
right?
let's see, most recently Pennsylvania, and I had some folks from New Jersey come up, New Hampshire.
Wow. Marketing is a challenge because the language around how to describe what this is
Yup.
can go in so many different
Oh, you can't. Can
directions.
you tell me what was it like, Marie? What?
Well, if I had to do a elevator speech on it, I would say it's getting a massage with sound and light. And anyone who's experienced massage from anyone and knows how great that feels, that's just a tiny sliver of how you could describe it because you will leave relaxed. You will leave with an experience you've never had before, and it'll keep working after you leave for days. So
Yeah, you had a single session. So
I had a
this
single session.
session will process out for the next 3 days for you. If somebody does a series, which is the recommended protocol, which is 3 sessions in 3 consecutive days, in each session you get different music, you'll process those sessions out for 3 weeks after.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you have a follow up procedure?
Again, depends on people's wellness goals. They can get in and do another series in a month, or they can start a monthly maintenance and just get in once a month just to keep ahead of things,
Mm-hmm.
sort of a preventative. One of the cool bits of feedback I get from people who do monthly maintenance is that they don't seem to get sick. All of the flus and colds going around, they might on occasion start developing symptoms, but it never manifests in an actual flu or
So
cold.
that tells me that it builds your immune system.
It isn't doing it, your body's doing
Right.
it.
You're
Yeah.
strengthening your immune system. But then can you just talk a little bit about how you choose the particular protocol of music for each client?
Well, it's mostly really an intuitive process. I wish I could be more scientific about it, but I'll do my best to
Well,
try to
so in my
describe.
case this morning, why did you pick that particular music?
It was I set this up yesterday for you, and it was just when I had you in my mind, this particular session popped up first as the one that would be best
Oh,
for you. So it was Marie had a percussion session. So I've done a lot of sound healing research as well, and I've actually added soundtracks to the library of session options. And percussion is really good for structure,
hmm.
bones, muscles. It's also really good for anxiety and post traumatic stress.
I kept wanting to dance in there with some of that music. It was so great.
I'm
I could feel my body going, hey,
glad you like, because not every you may not like the music in it, but
mm-hmm.
you have to think of it. It's being used for therapeutic reasons, not for your dancing enjoyment.
But for you to be able to choose a particular soundtrack that you know is working with bones or muscle or whatever is pretty amazing. And I noticed do you have people fill out a form that if there are there any risks for anybody
The
taking this step?
I would not put someone in who's actively psychotic,
Okay.
and I would probably be avoidant of putting someone in who has congestive heart failure because of the amount of water you have to drink afterwards.
Hmm.
And yeah, but I think that's pretty much it. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. You don't even have to have a diagnosis to get in. You can just, like, I have people who have a meditation practice and they just want to deepen it. So they go in for that reason, or
Cool.
to
I love that.
just because a lot of people will have visual experiences and some will see colors during their session. I've been told that people deepen their meditation practice as a result of experiences in there.
That's great. Are there any books written about this particular energy medicine?
Nope. No.
You might have to write that book,
Oh,
Wendy.
yeah, I'll put that on the list.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't feel like an expert at all. I'm really just kind of learning as I go along. It's kind of new territory, this idea of using sound and light frequency together to help people's bodies go into self-healing mode.
And you also offer other services here. I can tell people it's not a clinic environment. This
No,
is not a clinic. It's a lovely kind of home-like atmosphere. There are a couple of rooms. There's a practice room that Wendy uses for as a practitioner, and
for
then
counseling and
for
shamanic healing,
counseling
yeah.
and healing. And then there's the Genesis room, which is lovely. It's very comfortable all the way around.
I really wanted to create a space that felt welcoming as soon as you walked in the door. So I have comfortable furniture that we're sitting in right now in the
Yeah.
reception area.
Can you share any particular events or opportunities for people to experience this coming up, or open houses or
I,
whatever?
I just had an open
Oh,
house.
okay.
Well, I have open houses several times a year. I'll run the EG so people can just lay down in it and get a taste of the experience. And even with everything, with the doors open, you just laying down in it, you could still feel your body start dropping down into relaxation. That brings me to another concern that is expressed a lot by people who ask or inquire about EG sessions is the claustrophobia question.
Right.
Because you are enclosed in it, again, it's enormous. For people who are very claustrophobic, I will leave a door open for them during the session, and it seems to work fine. They get through it. Because really, what happens once the session begins and the frequencies hit your system, you don't really give a shit. I-
No, I was a little anxious at first because you don't like the feeling of being enclosed like that. Most of us don't, but there's no sense at all of being buried alive or whatever that feels like.
Does it feel small inside?
No, no,
Yeah.
the life vessel that you first had did a little more than this,
It
but
was a
this
lot smaller.
this is
Yeah.
very spacious, and the ceiling's high enough so you're not feeling like, oh gosh, it's coming down on me at all. And in fact, you end up just closing your eyes into such a relaxed state. It doesn't matter where you are. You lose the sense of place, and you because you're so focused internally on what's happening, or you're completely relaxed. I imagine some people even fall asleep in there.
That's pretty common. And because your consciousness gets so altered in there, that a part of you can be asleep, another part of you can be aware you're asleep, another part of you can be aware of physical sensations, another part of you can be having visuals. It gets a little trippy.
Yeah, but it's not too long of a session, so you feel lost. There's a beginning, middle, and end kind of thing.
Yeah. And for most people, that's the feedback I get the most is that it felt like 15 minutes. It didn't feel like 45 minutes, which is the typical
But
length
you
of a
you can
session.
feel this sort of music crescendo rising, not the music itself, but the way your body's reacting, and then you also feel some closure at the end, and the way your body kind of rests and comes into a space ready to leave. So I like that. The music didn't close before I was ready. Do you
That's
know?
good. Yeah.
And that's
No, and that does seem to, a lot of people will say that they feel like they come to right as the music is winding down at the very end of the session and they're like, how did I know that the session was about to be over?
yeah.
Or some people will say they'll hear the music wind down, start to fade, and then they'll be like, "No."
Not
No.
ready. Yes. No, well, I what I appreciated was the percussion wasn't consistent throughout the entire session. It shifted because I could imagine how that would get to be too much over a whole. The way, however you did the music, it worked.
That's good. It
I'm
worked.
still very fascinated, and maybe there's another time for this to understand more about the sound and the energy sound carries into the body. And I know when you think about indigenous cultures and their rituals and ceremonies and the drumming that happens in those cultures, and that drumming takes people to a different consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
And so it felt like that was operating to some extent. So that was really neat. I don't know one human being that would not respond to percussion in some way, that way.
It's in our DNA.
It must be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been drumming since we figured out how to bang shit.
Yeah, the easiest instrument really for that. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about how the energy genesis helps people with migraines and TBI. Do you have a lot, I mean, in terms of logging hours with people who've had those conditions, do you find that they're very productive for them as well?
Yeah, I found that they are pretty productive. I mean, I think it depends on the type of migraine.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 75% of the people with migraine issues have felt great relief, and another 25% haven't because of the type of migraine it is.
Okay,
And people with TBIs do seem to do better, but they have to be able to handle the sound.
sure.
So,
But
yeah.
depending on their TBI, right?
And I can turn it way down too.
Some, I mean, it's a crapshoot, right? You just really don't know how that's going to work out for them.
I can't make any claims. I have no
That's
idea
good.
what's gonna
Yeah,
what's gonna happen for folks. I just say, I mean, it can't hurt.
right.
Give her a try. Like I said, I wish I could go in right now.
So, any questions that people have on a regular basis we haven't covered?
Nope, I think it's just something you have to experience. It's really hard to put into words. I can talk about the benefits. I've collected data. I have some of the data on the website, the results, but it's something, man, I would love everybody to experience this because it's so good for your nervous system. It's so good for you. Man.
And I can attest to that. I really can. I feel like it's a real eye opener to understand how these types of harmonics can affect your nervous system and wake up and tune you up to certain memories of your body that you need to pay attention
It's
to.
kind of crazy, right? If you think
Yeah.
about it, it was just music
Yes.
and light bulbs,
Yes.
and your body did all of that happened that you described in your session just from that. No human intervention. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
It's kind of
I
crazy.
can really start to know why you had that epiphany when you did and wanting to bring it to the world. And I definitely think you should get more people describing some of their experience for others to understand and maybe do a video of some sort so people can see what it is too.
Oh yeah, I used to. Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a picture on the website, but the picture you can't really tell from the picture because it's so big. It doesn't really fit in a picture frame, especially the way the room is set up.
That's beautifully crafted wood.
It looks beautiful. It's a really cool looking warm. It's got dark wood and on the outside and light wood on the inside, and yeah, it's cool looking. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'm glad I
no.
did it. I'm glad I got one. I'm really glad. I log a lot of hours in there.
Do
Oh
you?
yeah, well, I have to try out new soundtracks on
Oh.
myself, and
Do you
and
keep a journal of your own
I did in
experience?
the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Yeah, I've logged a lot of hours in there. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm always looking into how can I bring new sessions in, and yeah, I want people to have these really amazing healing experiences.
Do you think something like this would ever work with pets, like dogs?
Yeah. I don't know if this device is the best thing for a dog friend, but I know out in Colorado, one of the other centers, she's got a new technology where she's inviting people to bring their animal friends in with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that makes sense. Do it together rather than leave an
Hmm.
animal in there by itself. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, so how you feeling?
Well, like I need some more water,
Yep.
but good, really good. I'm a little bit sleepy.
Yeah, I was just going to say your head's kind of leaning over in a way that you wish there was a pillow under it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I it I don't know if sessions exhaust or not, but make people feel so relaxed they get in touch with being like wanting to rest more
Well, your
afterwards.
body's working really hard right now.
Yeah,
So, not everybody, some people feel really energized after a session, and your body had I would call that a productive session,
yeah, it was
w-
totally.
very physical. And so it's not surprising that you feel like you'd like to nap now.
Too bad I can't, but later.
And when you get outside, you might feel differently when you start walking around.
I just would love to take this opportunity to let everybody know that Lucid Path Wellness is right here on State Street in Montpelier, across from Capitol Plaza Hotel. And finding Wendy online is very easy. lucidpathwellness.com. She does a newsletter to let people know what's happening, and all kinds of workshops and different things that she's doing. And it's pretty amazing because you can get not just the energy genesis, but other opportunities to understand Wendy's wonderful magic that she's offering the world here.
It's very kind of you to say. And I feel like I owe you money now for saying all of that.
No, no, not at all. I've known Wendy for years and
Yeah, we go way
have
back.
experienced different parts of Wendy and been very grateful to have done so.
I think Marie might be delirious from her EG session right now. I think she might be.
Yeah.
But yeah, before you fall asleep on my couch there, let me just express my immense appreciation for you coming back on the show and helping me with another episode.
Well, I'll do it again. I've really enjoyed this very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Marie.
You're welcome.
Hopefully you have a better idea of what this very hard to describe technology is like. I've included a link in the show notes to Testimonials, so you can check those out. As always, thank you for listening. If you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting Lucid Cafe by giving it a positive review or helping to spread the word by letting others know about the show. Or you can become a sponsor with a one-time or monthly donation by following the link in the show notes or on the podcast page of my website. Until next time, pleasant dreams.